Success is not something you chase, it is something you attract. And you attract it not by running faster, working harder, or shouting louder than the world around you, but by becoming the kind of person success naturally moves toward. Success is magnetic, and so are you, when your thoughts, emotions, and actions are aligned with what you truly desire. Everything you want is already available. The life you dream of, the purpose you feel deep inside, the opportunities you crave, they're not beyond your reach. But to reach them, you don't push harder, you tune in. You align. You shift your internal state to match the external result you're asking for. Success is not something that can be forced into your life through pressure, stress, or constant striving. It's not about chasing the outcome until you're exhausted. It's about understanding that success, like everything else, responds to alignment. It is drawn to clarity, purpose, and emotional energy. The more you try to chase success from a place of lack or desperation, the more it slips out of reach. But when you shift your mindset and become the kind of person who naturally attracts what they desire, success begins to move toward you. This shift starts internally. Most people are trained to believe that success only comes through hard external effort, through grinding, hustling, and outworking everyone around them. But effort without alignment often leads to burnout. If your thoughts are filled with fear, your emotions are rooted in self-doubt, and your actions are disconnected from your purpose, no amount of hustle will attract lasting success. It might bring short-term gains, but they won't feel fulfilling or sustainable. True success is a reflection of who you are, not just what you do. It comes to those who have tuned their inner state to match what they want to experience on the outside. Attraction starts with belief. If you don't believe that you are worthy of success, if you doubt your ability to receive it, you will unconsciously block it. People often carry silent beliefs about their limitations. Beliefs they picked up from their environment, from past failures, or from comparisons to others. Those beliefs act like static in the signal you're sending out, and when your signal is unclear, the results that come back to you will be mixed, inconsistent, or delayed. But when you begin to clear that static, when you consciously choose thoughts that are empowering, thoughts that are based in abundance and possibility, you start to shift your frequency. You start to send a clear, unwavering message. I am ready. I am aligned. I am open to receiving. Energy doesn't lie. You can say the right affirmations, visualize the dream, and take all the necessary actions, but if your underlying energy is anxious, doubtful, or resistant, you're not in alignment with what you desire. And the law of attraction responds not to your words, but to your vibration. It responds to how you feel beneath the surface. That's why mindset work alone is not enough. You must learn to regulate your emotional state, to center yourself in calm, confidence, and certainty, even before the evidence of success appears. This is how you become magnetic, not through perfection, but through presence. Through the ability to remain rooted in your vision, regardless of what the outside world looks like. There's a different kind of power that comes when you stop chasing outcomes and start attracting them. It's quieter, but deeper. It doesn't demand control. It doesn't rush. It doesn't panic. It moves through certainty, through alignment, through trust. When you start to embody the energy of the life you want to live, when your actions, habits, and thoughts all reflect your desired outcome, you no longer have to go out and force things to happen. You create space for them to unfold. You become a living example of what success looks and feels like, even before it physically shows up. This way of living allows you to focus more on being than doing. When you are aligned internally, the right actions flow naturally. You know when to act and when to pause. You know which opportunities are in alignment and which are distractions. You don't need to scramble or second guess. You operate from a deeper sense of inner knowing, and that knowing is what pulls the right people, the right timing, and the right experiences into your path. You're no longer chasing something outside of yourself. You are simply becoming more of who you really are. And that version of you naturally attracts what you once thought you had to run after. Success is a response. It is a mirror of your internal state. When your thoughts are focused, your emotions are elevated, and your actions are aligned, success becomes a byproduct of who you are. It stops feeling like something you need to hunt down and starts feeling like something that flows to you because you are ready. The effort is still there, but it's not forced. It comes from inspiration, not desperation. It comes from the desire to create, to grow, to contribute, not from the fear of being left behind. And in that space, everything changes. What once felt far away begins to move toward you. What once felt out of reach begins to feel inevitable. Because when you become the kind of person who lives in alignment with success, you don't have to chase it. You attract it. Your thoughts are the foundation of everything you experience. Every action you take, every decision you make, and every result you create begins with a single thought. What you consistently think about, you move toward, consciously or unconsciously. This is the true power of the mind. It's not just a tool for processing information, it's a creative force, shaping your reality moment by moment. When you learn to direct your thoughts deliberately, you begin to take control of your life in a way that most people never understand. Most people move through life reacting to whatever is happening around them. They let the news, their environment, and the people in their lives dictate what they focus on. They dwell on problems, repeat stories of failure, and think constantly about what's lacking. Without realizing it, they're planting mental seeds of scarcity, fear, and frustration. And those seeds grow. Over time, they manifest in circumstances, habits, and patterns that reinforce the same negative cycle. What you focus on expands. And when your focus is dominated by what you don't want, you end up attracting more of it into your life. The law of attraction operates based on frequency. Your thoughts carry energy. When you think positively, when you think with belief, with hope, with clarity, your energy rises. When you think with worry, doubt, or resentment, your energy drops. And energy is magnetic. It pulls in experiences that match its vibration. If your dominant thoughts are rooted in lack, the universe reflects that back to you in the form of financial struggle, broken relationships, missed opportunities. But when your dominant thoughts are aligned with abundance, purpose, and possibility, you start to notice a shift. The world responds differently. Doors open, people appear, solutions show up where there used to be problems. This is not magic. It's the result of focus. The mind is incredibly powerful, but it doesn't discriminate. It doesn't decide for you what's worth focusing on. That's your job. If you feed it fear, it will find reasons to be afraid. If you feed it confidence, it will find reasons to believe. Your mind is always scanning for evidence to support your dominant thoughts. That's why it's essential to become intentional about what you allow to take root. Because your thoughts are not just mental noise, they are instructions to your subconscious. They are the blueprint from which your reality is built. One of the most powerful shifts you can make is from thinking about what you don't want to thinking about what you do want. Instead of saying, I don't want to be broke, say, I'm creating wealth. Instead of saying, I'm tired of being alone, say, I'm open to meaningful connection. This isn't about ignoring reality, it's about choosing a better one. It's about moving from resistance to creation. When your thoughts are focused on solutions, on growth, on the version of you that you're becoming, you begin to act differently. You carry yourself differently. You attract new outcomes because you've changed the signal you're sending out. Clarity is crucial. If you don't know what you want, your thoughts default to what you fear. The brain loves certainty, and if it doesn't have a clear picture of your vision, it will anchor itself in the past or in limiting beliefs. This is why visualization, affirmations, and journaling can be so effective. Not because they trick your mind, but because they train it. They give it a target. They provide structure for your thoughts. And when your thoughts have structure, they begin to shape your habits, your expectations, your language, and eventually your outcomes. The greatest power in this process is consistency. A single positive thought has potential, but sustained positive thinking creates transformation. It's not enough to think abundantly once and hope for change. You must return to it daily. You must redirect your mind every time it slips back into fear, doubt, or comparison. This discipline of the mind is what separates those who attract success from those who merely wish for it. Because anyone can hope, but not everyone will train their focus. Not everyone will take control of their inner dialogue. But those who do change their lives from the inside out. You are always creating. Whether intentionally or by default, your thoughts are shaping what comes next. You don't have to control every thought, but you do need to become aware of your dominant patterns. Notice where your mind goes when you're tired, when you're stressed, when you're uncertain. That's when your real beliefs are revealed. And once you see them, you have the power to change them. You can replace them with new beliefs, new thoughts, new intentions that serve your vision instead of sabotage it. When you start to think in alignment with your goals, when your thoughts are clear, empowering, and directed toward what you want to build, you start to feel differently. And when you feel differently, you act differently. That's when the outer world begins to respond to the inner change. Because the mind is not just a tool for surviving, it's a tool for creating. It holds the blueprint for the life you are capable of living. And when you master your thoughts, you begin to shape your reality, not by chance, but by design. Thinking alone is never enough to attract success. It begins with thought, yes, but it is emotion that gives that thought power. Emotion is the fuel that energizes your intention and turns mental focus into magnetic force. You can think about success all day, you can visualize wealth, happiness, freedom, but if your emotional state doesn't match the energy of that vision, the signal you're sending out is weak, scattered, and inconsistent. The law of attraction responds not just to your thoughts, but to the energy those thoughts carry. And that energy is determined by how you feel. When you wake up in the morning, your emotional baseline sets the tone for your day. If you start with worry, frustration, or dread, you begin broadcasting that frequency into everything you touch. Your conversations, your decisions, your behavior all reflect that low vibration. Even if you tell yourself you want success, your dominant emotional state is sending out a very different message. You're vibrating in survival mode, and that vibration can't attract high-level outcomes. But when you begin your day rooted in gratitude, confidence, and purpose, you align yourself with the frequency of your goals. You don't just think about what you want, you become a match for it. Emotion creates momentum. You may have a vision board filled with inspiring images, but if those images don't stir something deep within you, they're just pictures. The law of attraction doesn't move based on passive desire. It moves when your desire is alive, when it's charged with passion, when it feels real in your body before it ever becomes real in your life. That emotional intensity pulls experiences toward you because it communicates certainty. It tells the universe, this isn't just a wish. This is who I am becoming. This is what I expect. This is the frequency I live in now. One of the most powerful emotional states for attraction is gratitude. Gratitude is more than saying thank you. It's an energetic declaration that you already have enough, that you are in harmony with abundance. When you feel grateful, you signal that you are not in lack. You are not waiting for something outside of yourself to complete you. You are already aligned with what you want, and from that space, more flows in. Gratitude removes resistance, it softens fear, clears mental clutter, and opens the door to receiving more of what you appreciate. It turns your focus toward what's working and away from what's missing, which is the essence of attraction. Another powerful emotion is joy, not the loud, performative kind of joy, but the quiet joy that lives in presence. The joy that arises when you are fully engaged in the moment, doing work you love, creating without pressure, growing without fear. When you embody that kind of joy, you lift your frequency. And the higher your frequency, the more magnetic your energy becomes. People feel it. Opportunities are drawn to it. Life responds to it. You don't have to force things when your energy is aligned. You simply have to stay connected to the feeling of what you want, and the path begins to reveal itself. Fear, doubt, and resentment are natural emotions. But if they dominate your internal state, they disrupt the signal. They create emotional interference. And interference makes attraction difficult. That's why emotional mastery is essential to working with the law of attraction. It's not about being positive all the time. It's about becoming aware of your emotional patterns and learning how to shift them. It's about choosing how you respond instead of being ruled by unconscious reactions. When you learn to observe your emotions and redirect them, you take back control of your energy. And with control of your energy, you gain control of your outcomes. Emotional rehearsal is one way to create alignment. This means taking time daily to feel the emotions of the future you desire, as if it's already here. Close your eyes and imagine your dream life. But don't just picture it, step into it. What does it feel like to wake up in total freedom? What does it feel like to live with purpose, to speak with confidence, to walk with peace in your heart? The more vividly you can feel those emotions now, the more powerful your signal becomes. You begin to reprogram your nervous system to recognize success as familiar, not foreign. And what's familiar becomes easier to attract. Success, wealth, health, love, whatever it is you want, it's not about chasing an external thing, it's about creating the internal state that reflects it. When your inner world matches the energy of the life you want to create, you don't have to push or force. You allow, you align. And alignment isn't something you wait for, it's something you feel into, moment by moment, decision by decision, breath by breath. Emotion is your guidance system. It tells you when you're on track and when you're out of sync. It's the signal you're sending to life, and life is always responding to that signal with exact precision. The law of attraction is not a passive process. It does not mean sitting back and hoping that good things will simply fall into your lap without effort. It is not about dreaming without doing or visualizing without moving. While thought and emotion set the stage, it is action, consistent, aligned action, that brings the vision into form. Action is the bridge between your internal state and your external reality. Without it, the energy you generate remains potential. With it, that energy is directed into creation. The key is not just any action, but aligned action. Aligned action is the kind that flows naturally from your vision and your belief. It doesn't feel like force or struggle, even when it requires hard work. It comes from a place of clarity. You're not acting out of fear, desperation, or confusion. You're acting from a centered place of knowing that what you are doing is part of a bigger picture. Your steps are not random, they are intentional. Each one moves you closer to your desired outcome because they are guided by purpose, not pressure. When you're in alignment, you don't need to second guess every move. You don't need to chase every opportunity or react to every distraction. You begin to develop a sense of intuitive timing. You know when to step forward and when to wait. You understand the power of momentum and the importance of rest. You stop acting just for the sake of activity and start acting with precision. You conserve your energy for what matters most, and in doing so, you actually achieve more with less effort because your energy is focused, not scattered. Aligned action often begins with inspiration. You get an idea, a feeling, a spark. Something nudges you to take a step, send a message, start a project, learn a skill, or have a conversation. That inspiration is not random. It's the universe responding to your internal state, showing you what the next move could be. But inspiration without follow-through leads nowhere. You have to trust that what you're being guided toward has value, even if you can't see the whole picture yet. You have to move, even when the outcome isn't guaranteed, because every time you take action, you signal belief, and belief magnified by action creates results. There is a kind of confidence that comes from doing the work. No affirmation or visualization can replace the self-respect you build when you show up for your vision day after day. Aligned action deepens your sense of commitment. It anchors your dreams into reality. It builds the bridge between where you are and where you want to go. And every step you take, no matter how small, is a declaration. I am becoming who I said I would be. I am not waiting. I am not hoping. I am building. Aligned action also attracts more alignment. When you begin taking steps, new opportunities arise. People show up. Doors open. But those things don't appear out of nowhere. They're drawn to your movement. The universe meets you at the level of your participation. When you're still, it waits. When you move with purpose, it responds. This is why sitting back and waiting doesn't work. Waiting is rooted in doubt. Moving is rooted in faith. Faith expressed through action is one of the most powerful forces in the world because it shows that you're willing to act on what you believe before you see the results. Sometimes aligned action requires you to step outside of your comfort zone. Growth is rarely convenient. The path to your vision won't always feel easy or predictable, but it will feel right, even when it stretches you, even when it challenges you. There will be a sense of direction, a feeling that you're doing what needs to be done, and that feeling is more valuable than comfort. It's more valuable than waiting for the perfect moment, because that moment is often created through action itself. Action clarifies, it teaches, it reveals. You learn by doing what no amount of thinking alone can show you. Aligned action also demands that you trust yourself. There's no perfect roadmap, no guaranteed formula, but the more you act, the more you begin to understand your own rhythm, your own timing, your own truth. You stop needing permission. You stop looking for validation. You begin to operate from inner authority. That inner authority is powerful because it frees you from the need to follow trends or mimic others. You act from alignment, not approval, from truth, not noise. And in doing so, you build a path that is uniquely yours. This is the kind of action that transforms lives. Not because it's louder or faster, but because it's intentional. It's rooted in belief. It's sustained by clarity. It's energized by emotion. It's aligned with your purpose. When your thoughts, feelings, and actions all point in the same direction, the gap between vision and reality begins to close. Life starts to respond not just to what you want, but to what you're truly ready for. And readiness is shown through movement, through stepping forward even when the outcome is unknown, through doing the work with a quiet confidence that says, I'm not just waiting for my future, I'm walking toward it. You attract what you are, not what you want. This simple truth underlies every aspect of the law of attraction. You may want success, love, peace, or abundance, but if who you are being on a daily basis doesn't match the energy of those desires, they remain distant. The universe responds not to wishes or intentions alone, but to the energy you embody. That energy is shaped by your thoughts, emotions, choices, habits, and most of all, your identity, the version of yourself that you live as each day. Wanting is passive. It often comes from a place of lack. When you want something but continue thinking, feeling, and acting in ways that contradict it, you create resistance. You keep the thing you desire out of reach by affirming its absence. You say you want peace, but live in chaos. You say you want wealth, but carry beliefs of scarcity. You say you want love, but withhold love from yourself. The law of attraction cannot bypass this disconnect. It mirrors your dominant state of being. So if you want something different in your life, you must first become someone different in your mind, your emotions, and your actions. Becoming what you want to receive means aligning your inner world with the frequency of your goals. This alignment begins with self-awareness. You have to become conscious of who you're being now, what you believe, how you think, how you speak, and how you behave. These are the patterns shaping your current reality. If your outer life doesn't reflect what you desire, there is something in your internal state that needs to shift. It may be a belief, an identity, a routine, or a way of reacting to the world. When you identify and change these patterns, you raise your vibration to match what you're trying to attract. Embodiment is the key. If you want confidence, you must begin to walk, speak, and make decisions like someone who is confident. Even if it feels unnatural at first, your nervous system begins to adapt. You start to build a new emotional home. If you want abundance, practice generosity, even in small ways. Shift your language from, I can't afford that, to, I'm choosing to invest differently right now. Speak abundance, think abundance, feel abundance. Not because you're pretending, but because you're training your mind and body to live in the state of having rather than wanting. This is how the universe recognizes that you are ready. Your self-image has a powerful impact on what you attract. If deep down you see yourself as unworthy, incapable, or stuck, no amount of external effort will override that internal blueprint. You may take the right actions, but they'll be sabotaged by self-doubt and hesitation. But when you upgrade your self-image, when you begin to see yourself as capable, deserving, and aligned with your vision, your actions naturally become more powerful. You stop second-guessing. You move with certainty. That certainty has a frequency, and that frequency draws in people, opportunities, and outcomes that resonate with it. Being what you want to receive also means honoring the habits and disciplines that align with your desires. Discipline is not restriction, it's devotion. When you commit to routines that nourish your mind, body, and spirit, you become a container strong enough to hold the success you're asking for. If you want clarity, create stillness. If you want strength, train consistently. If you want freedom, practice responsibility. These actions may seem simple, but they are expressions of identity. They say, this is who I am now, and the universe responds accordingly. Energy never lies. You may be able to fool others with words, but your vibration always tells the truth. If you're trying to attract something from a place of fear, control, or impatience, the result will match that energy. But when you become grounded in the version of yourself that already lives in the result, when you embody peace, joy, strength, or abundance, the external world starts to mirror that back. You don't chase, you don't cling, you don't beg, you attract because you are already living as the version of you that belongs in the life you desire. This process is not about faking or forcing. It's about aligning, about making micro decisions each day that reflect your future self instead of your past habits. It's about creating emotional coherence between what you desire and what you believe is possible. When your thoughts, emotions, and actions all reflect the version of you that already has what you want, manifestation becomes less about struggle and more about inevitability. You are no longer sending mixed signals to the universe. You are speaking clearly through who you are being, what you are doing, and how you are feeling in each moment. Transformation begins when you stop trying to attract something outside of yourself and start building it from the inside out. You are the seed. Everything you desire grows from the energy you cultivate within. Becoming what you want to receive is the highest form of attraction because it removes the gap between you and your goal. You're not waiting for something to arrive. You are living as if it's already part of you. And in that state, the world responds not because you chased it, but because you matched it. Because its proper function becomes aware, and then the matched energy with it is managed. This happens in only when we are proper is part of something. Expectation is a force that shapes reality in powerful and often invisible ways. It is more than hope, more than belief, more than wishful thinking. Expectation is a confident knowing, a silent command to the universe that says, "This is mine." It is already on its way. When you truly expect something, you carry yourself differently. You think, speak, act, and feel in alignment with that outcome. The law of attraction responds to that alignment not through chance or coincidence, but through resonance. What you expect consistently, you begin to draw toward you. Expectation creates a vibrational match. It signals readiness. It sends out a frequency that life mirrors back. The universe does not deliver what you simply want. It delivers what you are prepared to receive. And preparation happens in the mind and heart before it happens in the external world. When you expect success, you move with the energy of success. You look for opportunities instead of obstacles. You trust in timing instead of worrying about control. You show up with certainty, and that certainty shapes how others perceive and respond to you. There is a massive difference between hoping something will happen and expecting it to. Hope can be fragile. It often comes from a place of longing. Expectation, on the other hand, is built on belief, consistency, and identity. It says this isn't just possible, it's inevitable, and that inner shift changes the way you interact with life. It removes hesitation, it silences doubt, it clears the mental fog that keeps you stuck in indecision. When you expect something with your full being, you begin to attract the people, the situations, the resources, and the clarity that support that expectation. The energy of expectation also sharpens your focus. When you are certain about what's coming, your mind naturally filters out distractions and zeroes in on alignment. You become less reactive, more deliberate. You're no longer waiting for signs to believe. You believe first, and the signs follow. This kind of expectation is not arrogance, it's alignment. It's the quiet confidence that comes from knowing who you are, what you want, and what you're willing to embody to receive it. You're not forcing outcomes, you're aligning with them. You're meeting your future halfway by living in its frequency now. Expectation also transforms the way you deal with challenges. Instead of interpreting setbacks as failure, you see them as part of the process. You don't take delays personally. You trust that the path is still unfolding in your favor, even when it doesn't look how you thought it would. Because your expectation isn't based on external proof. It's anchored within. It's rooted in a mindset that says, "This is working out for me." And that mindset keeps you steady when others give up. It keeps you open when others shut down. It keeps you moving when others stay stuck. The most powerful expectations are the ones you hold about yourself. What you expect from life is shaped by what you expect from your own thoughts, your own actions, your own identity. If you expect greatness from yourself, you will rise to meet that vision. If you expect consistency, integrity, and growth, you will build habits that reflect those values. But if you expect failure, sabotage, or disappointment, your behavior will subtly reflect that too. The mind seeks to confirm what it expects. It looks for evidence to support its assumptions. Change your expectations, and you change what your mind is looking for. You change your filters, your choices, your energy, and eventually your outcomes. Expectation is not about demanding perfection. It's not about pretending everything is always working out exactly as planned. It's about maintaining a steady internal frequency of trust, no matter what shows up on the outside. It's about holding the vision with clarity, even in the face of temporary uncertainty. It's about waking up each day and deciding to live as if what you desire is already unfolding, already preparing to meet you, already being shaped by your current alignment. Small expectations can bring small results. Bold expectations invite bold outcomes. When you raise your standard of what you expect, not just from others, but from your own thinking, energy, and presence, you begin to shift what you attract. You stop settling for mediocre situations or halfway efforts. You start showing up like someone who knows their time, their energy, their vision has value. That shift doesn't just change how you feel, it changes how life responds to you. People treat you differently. Opportunities recognize you more easily. Alignment finds you more often. Expecting success doesn't mean never feeling doubt or fear. It means feeling those things and moving forward anyway, anchored in a deeper knowing. It means walking with a vision that is more real to you than your current circumstances. It means choosing to carry the emotional signature of your desired outcome before it arrives. The more you practice that, the more you align with the version of yourself who already lives in that reality. And that version of you becomes a magnet for experiences that match that energy, not because you're chasing them, but because you're finally ready to receive them.